Howdy folks, today we're looking at Batman 610 in Facsimile from 2002 in DC Comics. Now that we're a few issues in, let's take stock. What is Hush actually about? So far we've seen Killer Croc involved in kidnapping a rich kid for a $10 million ransom. After Batman takes out Croc and frees the kid, the money's taken by Catwoman, although we see she's being manipulated by Poison Ivy. Since all his villains are acting so uncharacteristically, Croc isn't one for organizing meticulous kidnapping plots, and Catwoman doesn't have a motive to steal from Croc. Batman begins to suspect that everyone's being manipulated by someone else. Meanwhile, the real crux of the story comes after the first fight with Croc, as someone manages to get the drop on Batman and cut his line, sending him plummeting into an alley, which is where he's saved by the Hunters in the second issue. From there, it's a direct trip to the hospital, where the only person who can save Bruce Wayne is internationally renowned neurosurgeon Thomas Elliot, who also happens to be Bruce's best friend from childhood. Bruce's father was also the surgeon who failed to save Thomas's father on the operating table after a car accident, and I suspect he still holds a grudge about that. What strikes me now in hindsight is how Loeb and Lee pass by a much more interesting idea without even so much as a wave. Batman receives a traumatic brain injury in the first issue of the story, and somehow he's fine after Thomas Elliot fixes the problem. That's not how brain injuries work anywhere ever. The idea of Batman having to run the gamut of all his worst enemies while also recovering from a brain injury sounds like a really good hook for a story. But as this issue explicitly tells us, Batman is back up and swinging around before any time has passed. Maybe it comes up again, I honestly don't remember. In outline, the problem is simple. Introducing Bruce Wayne's childhood best friend in 2002 was never going to work. It was a terrible idea that should have been mooted from the beginning. There's no effort whatsoever to hide the idea that Elliot is Hush, especially not when Tommy starts showing up at the mansion to deliver ominous proclamations. Frankly, Hush is a better story without Elliot. As it stands, it's obvious from the very beginning that he's supposed to be a centrally important character, and it's hard to maintain any suspense there. But this issue also reintroduces another thread that would go on to be a character-defining beat for the next 2 decades. This is where he finally gets together with Catwoman, wearing Darwin Cook's sleek redesign. Believe it or not, as canonical as it has become, Cook's makeover was quite controversial in its day. People were attached to Jim Balent's purple leotard.